Welcome to another episode with your Chapter Crush sweetheart. This is Everblue Presents More Than Enough, a Chapter Crush sweetheart series. Bryony, Chapter 17, In Too Deep. Girls' night comes and goes in a haze of spa treatments, delicious room service, and Chinese dramas till 3 a.m. Over breakfast the next morning, Evie finally tells me that she and Jean are expecting again. I'm so excited I squeal as I jump up to hug her in the middle of that fancy hotel dining room. When she tells me her due date is March 31st, I assure her I'll be in London 2 weeks before so that I don't miss the birth. I was there for both Braxton and Parker, and no matter what happens in the future, I'm going to be there for the next little one. At that point, we disappear into the shops and galleries, picking up a few gifts for the guys and a couple of things for ourselves. No Rolexes were harmed in the course of the day, although I did stand beside Evie, drooling over the rainbow watch when we saw it. Before we know it, we're all checked out and Philippe is whisking us back to the chalet. All is quiet when we walk inside and Evie decides to go upstairs to nap since she's tired. I'll have to find the boys soon to make sure they keep it down. After dropping the bags in my room, I kick off my sandals and pad out to the back deck. Coming through the door, I immediately see Nick peacefully dozing on a deep chair in the shade of a large black and white striped umbrella. His feet are up on a little wooden table, a hand still holding his book open to the page he left off reading, while the other hand, wrapped around the bottom of his red t-shirt, rests on the exposed portion of his tanned stomach. At that moment, I'm moved with a certainty that there's not a day in my life I won't want him to be in it. Maybe that's all the certainty I need in order to move forward. Whatever that looks like for us, I'm going to accept it. Accept him, just the way he comes. Feeling like a weight has lifted from my mind, I walk up behind him and wrapping my arms around his neck, I drop a kiss on top of his head. Wow, does he smell good. His hands immediately come up to hold me in place, and I bring my head down to rest near his cheek. Is why his next words come in so clearly since they're murmured near my ear. When did you get back, my life? My breath hitches as realization dawns. My life sounds like a term of endearment. Does he mean that I'm his life? I immediately dismiss the thought. I don't know what it means, but that can't be it. I mean, he's been saying that for months. Just a few minutes ago. We got you something, I whisper with a smile. He gently rubs my arms but doesn't let go. Do you mean to say you got me something besides this hug? Because this hug is pretty amazing. I can't imagine how you could possibly top this, love. I smile as I give him a squeeze, then slowly rise before I do something ridiculous, like kiss the man. Nikki, babe, you mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling. I quote from one of our favorite movies in my knockoff English accent. Nick chuckles as he drops a kiss in the palm of my hand, his blue gaze taking me in with a lazy smile as he leans back in the chair. Cute words for someone who doesn't know that I'm conquering galaxies in my dreams. Just to attain something real right here, he murmurs. And she's dead, folks. She's no longer with us. Before I can catch my breath, Nick tugs on my hand until I'm standing beside him, but he still doesn't let go. Instead, his eyes burn into mine as his thumb gently circles the back of my hand. How many layers of sleep must I fight through to get to the one where I wake up like this every day? He whispers. My mouth goes dry as I realize I wasn't dead before because I just died. I'm now dead. Pity, since I really need my words. I take a deep breath to tell him we can figure it out together when a shout from the water draws my attention. Braxton, Parker, and Jean are all wildly waving at me from the water before the boys scramble to get out of the lake. Laughing, I wave back, and as the boys come running over, I look down at Nick, who is still trying to incinerate me on the spot. Is there an award for smoldering? I'm pretty sure if he hasn't won it before, he certainly could now. Wetting my lips, I offer a shy smile as I give his hand to squeeze. I don't know, Nick, but I'll wait until you surface. Caught. When the cast finally breaks for lunch, everyone sighs in relief. It's been 2 weeks since Evie, Jean, and the boys left. Tomorrow's the last day of filming, so everyone involved with the production is eager to get through shooting the last few scenes. The obligatory wrap party tomorrow evening will offer everyone a good chance to blow off steam. On Friday, while Alfie, Nick, and I fly back to London for 3 weeks of post-production, Doris is off to New York. I don't know how the motorcycle will be received in Nick's quiet mansion neighborhood, but that's a worry for another day. When we arrive home during the second week of September, that will officially conclude my duties as private chef, but that's also something I can think about tomorrow. Today, there's only space for one worry, and it's serious. Since I first began running lines with Nick, it's the very thing that's had my stomach twisted in knots, and not the good kind. That's because today, they're filming the one and only kiss scene in the whole show. A 6-hour miniseries, and there's only one kiss? Depending on how satisfying the story is, it might work. Normally, an epic kiss would erase all the ill will such a production decision would generate. However, it is for the British public first, and considering who is doing the kissing, I am now of the opinion one kiss scene is one too many. That's right, I said it. I feel a sudden kinship with the wives of actors, and all I have are 2 words and a certain look in a man's eyes. I can't imagine the ogre I'd become when a ring and vows are involved. Whoa, jumping the gun much? I give myself a few gentle pats on the face as I head back to the van to get lunch plated. I need to pull myself together. After lunch, I'll clean up, then hightail it out of here. They're filming in one of the towns at the base of the mountain today. The lime-plastered buildings have an aged, pre-war feel and sit next to Lake Geneva. I'm sure the director, Andrew, was happy with the location because that scene takes place at the end of a land pier that extends into the lake. Between the mountains stretching around the lake and the gorgeous clouds in the background, it will be delightfully scenic, perfectly picturesque. I think I'm going to be sick. A quick online search on how many takes to shoot a kiss scene doesn't give me much hope for a one and done, and by the time Nick and Alfie arrive, I can't bring myself to eat. I'm guessing Alfie's here for some kind of moral support and not for help in pulling Amelia off of Nick later, but one could hope. It doesn't make sense that I'm feeling so jealous isn't the right word. Territorial? That's the word. Over the years, I've run lines with Nick for scenes that were not for the faint of heart. As long as I didn't make eye contact, I was fine. And once you've been on a film set, the magic is gone. 15 to 20 sound, lighting, and camera crew members standing around watching a couple pretend to make out in 10-second snippets is about as sexy as watching a bird regurgitate food for its young. I've even become friends with some of Nick's female co-stars, and a few of them even get cherry coconut macaroons from me every year. This is not that. Amelia has spent the entire production aggressively trying to attract Nick's attention. While I give her credit for recognizing quality, her manner of pursuit borders on stalking and harassment. Despite multiple warnings from the AD, as we get closer to wrapping the production, she's only becoming more desperate for the attention. Is it too late to pick up sling shooting? Bryony. I blink at Alfie and look around for Nick. Has he gone already? When I hear Nick brushing his teeth in the little bathroom, bile actually rises in my throat. Oh, I don't think I can do this. Bryony, you okay? Alfie asks, his dark eyes full of concern. I smile wanly. Yes. Yep. Of course. How are you? Alfie smiles knowingly. Never been better. I close one eye as I tilt my head to look at him. You know how to shoot a slingshot? A what? He exclaims, his Brooklyn accent stronger than ever. I glance toward the bed and bathroom area, where apparently someone is undergoing dental surgery for his next close-up. I should have used more garlic in today's lunch. Rolling my eyes, I catch Alfie looking at me with concern. Waving a dismissive hand, I stand up. I'm going to head back to the chalet. I think I need to lay down. Alfie frowns. I don't think you're okay to ride Doris like this. Maybe you should nap here before heading back. I raise my brows. I'm not taking a nap on Nick's bed. Why ever not? It's devilishly comfortable. Nick smirks from the doorway. As he approaches the table dressed like a Swiss sheep farmer, Alfie narrows his eyes on my face. She's looking a bit off, sir. I suggested she nap here instead of taking off on Doris. Nick rests a cool hand on my forehead. You aren't warm. Have you been sleeping? I pull his hand away. I'm fine. I just didn't sleep much the past couple of nights. That's all. Nick frowns. I don't think it's a good idea you take Doris up the mountain like this. Why don't you rest here? If you feel all right by the time I'm finished, I'll let Alfie take you back, and I'll bring Doris home. It sounds reasonable, but I'm just one big bundle of emotions today. To my own embarrassment, I begin tearing up. I'm fine. Why can't you just believe me, Nick? I knew how to make decisions before I met you, you know. Alfie coughs and excuses himself out of the van. Seconds later, when the call goes out for cast, I'm still standing there staring Nick down. He claps his hands and points at the door, and as soon as I turn to look, he's taken one of my hands in his and pulled me into a hug. With the other hand, he rubs my back, skating his fingers up my neck into my hair at the base of my scalp. How can it be so calming and yet so electric? Bryony, my love, please stay a while. Even if you don't take a nap, please wait for me. All right? His eyes are gentle, and coupled with the concern I see there, I sorely want to make his day easier. Okay, Nick, for you. I sigh in resignation. He gives my cheek a squeeze. That's my girl. I'll be back in no time. And in a blink, he's removed his warmth and bounded out of the van. You think he can't wait to get back to work, I grumble aloud. After cleaning up from lunch, I wander into the small bedroom and try to lay down. Yet, despite the bed being perfectly comfortable, I'm restless, can't seem to settle down. After a few minutes, I give up and decide to step outside for some air. Since it's still warmer here in town than up the mountain, I leave my bike jacket inside. Despite the breeze blowing off of the lake, my chef's jacket should be more than warm enough. Inexplicably, when I step out of the camper that Alfie has parked beneath a stand of trees, I'm tempted to return to the warmth inside the van. We're on a narrow street with the lake on one side and old gray, pink, and yellow buildings on the other. This morning, the cast was shooting scenes in and around the buildings across the street. All that's left to film today is the kissing scene on the pier, which stretches into the lake in front of me. In the show, this is the point where Rafe has risked his life to go to town, hoping to find someone to help Annika work the farm. He's planning to leave, but he hasn't told her yet, so she doesn't understand his insistence on getting more help and follows him. When Annika realizes what he's done, she's furious he's risking capture for her. They argue and she storms to the end of the pier trying to calm down. He follows her and ends up confessing his feelings to her. They kiss, and when he proposes to her, she accepts and they turn to go home. However, his eye catches on the gaping hole in the mountain above them, where his crew died in the mission. He looks back at Annika in pain, knowing that he must leave her, then back at the mountain. That moment is supposed to capture his sadness and determination to go back to England. Then, boom, end scene. There's still a number of onlookers hanging around, but thankfully there's a little wooden dock that runs between the pier and street. I'm guessing there are usually small boats moored there, but the production team likely had it cleared out for filming. A few people have come and gone from here as filming proceeded, so it must be out of the camera's sightline for most of the shots. Looking at the last minute bustle as the lighting crew moves around some equipment and other crew members fuss with Nick and Amelia's hair and makeup, I'm suddenly overpowered by the urge to see how the scene plays out. I should go back to the van and ignore it all, but as I look down the stone steps towards the wooden dock, I realize it's empty. Before I can decide, the crew clears out and filming resumes. As I watch Nick chase Amelia across the little street and down the tree lined pier, I'm once again struck by how easily he transforms himself. From the way he holds his head to the placement of his hands and the way he walks, he has completely become the wing commander. I have to see this. I jog down the short stone steps and step into the wooden dock, only realizing it's floating when it moves under me. Undeterred, I sit down cross-legged to enjoy Nick's performance, which is pretty easy from my vantage point as Amelia's face is angled away from me, but I can see Nick's face clearly. They do several takes leading up to the kiss, but when the drones go up and the camera angles are changed to shoot the actual kiss, Nick says something and Amelia throws her head back in laughter. I narrow my eyes as she playfully smacks him in the arm, but just then he looks directly at me and winks. The nerve! I smirk as I shake my head. Action, Andrew calls, and suddenly Rafe Edwards is back, pulling Annika into his arms, and yeah, this water is so blue, it's surprisingly clear too. The mountains surrounding the lake are just gorgeous. Now Rafe and Annika walk towards the street, his arm around her as he stares up at the mountain with pain in his eyes. It's a look that's meant to fill the audience with a sense of foreboding, and it hits the mark. They nail it in 3 takes, and when Andrew yells cut the final time, Nick visibly sighs in relief. Andrew says something to which Amelia draws her hands up to her cheeks as she responds. Nick shakes his head, and after saying something that leaves Amelia looking after him, eyes widened in disbelief, he then starts toward the crowd before he's stopped by Andrew. Somewhere between the second and third takes, a few clouds rolled in from the mountains behind us, bringing a fine mist with them. Even though it wasn't enough to stop filming, my hair is starting to absorb the water. If I don't want to deal with detangling later, I'd better go. I start to stand, but before I can get my foot solidly beneath me, it slips on a slick spot on the dock, and I stumble sideways. The dock pitches at that moment, rising up to meet my forward momentum, and a sharp pain shoots through my head and shoulder as I hit it. I hear a shout as I fall into the lake. I'm too stunned to do anything at first as I slide through the cold water. Then I remember the swim lessons Nick forced on me this summer. Stay calm, look towards the light, and kick. I can see the light at the surface above me, and I'm trying to kick while flapping my arms, but something isn't right. My body isn't fully responding to the commands I'm sending it, and my heavy boots drag me down further. As I fight to kick my legs and push away water like Nick taught me, my chest starts to burn and my head throbs. A shadow passes above me as my limbs slow and things begin to go dark. Nick! I blink once, twice, then nothing as darkness rises up to meet me. End of chapter.